All right, so I'm back and I made some pretty big mistakes. So watch and we'll find out. You'll find out what mistakes I made on this endurance race and tips to help you drive and get first place, get your 1 million credits. So let's get right back into it. So big mistake. Didn't buy the wets. I have intermediate tires on for the rain here and at Spa. Whatever your car you come in with, and really general advice. Whatever your favorite car in the game is, buy both intermediate and wet tires. Spa always seems to get a heavy rain right now. It looks like it might end up being pretty light. If so, the intermediate tires, I got real lucky because I don't have wets for this. And so far, we're gonna try to, if there's any dry spots on the track, we'll stick to the dry spots. The turns, the curbs. In the curbs, you got the inside. In the turns, you have the outside curb and the inside curb. The curb is always really wet, and on the other side of the curb, it's excessively wet. It's the last thing to dry out. It's the first thing you get swamped with water, because the track is made to have the water run off of it. So, same thing with our main public roads that we drive on. So, let's keep that in mind. Outsides are not safe. Now for the rain, a whole different set of tips and tricks. One, you want to throttle very lightly when the roads are wet or snowy. Really wet roads in sim racing, it's like driving on snow and ice. So I've got quite a bit of experience with that. So avoiding, even when you're in a straight line, if you full throttle it or full brake, you will likely spin out. We're driving the 458 Italia. Absolutely love the sound, love the looks. Definite easy top 5 best looking vehicles ever made, and top 5 best sounding vehicles. So here, even though I'm in a straight, reluctant to full brake. And you'll know if you're driving too slow compared to other drivers by watching. I'm 32 seconds ahead, it looks like. Oh, I'm in third, but others have gone to pit. Okay, so I'll change. So you can keep an eye on your timer. So here, get to the inside. Finally took that correctly. So the track isn't soaked yet, so I can be more into the full throttle, full braking. Here I'm going to take it a little slower because I suspect the car will want to slide across the road. There you go, it did. So a little trick, sometimes taking off even on dry pavement, but especially on wet pavement, coming out of a corner, taking off 1 gear higher can help. It doesn't, you can see it's just on the verge of wanting to start sliding out when braking. So go to the outside, oh, here, catch inside of the apex. It's very wet on the curbs. So going in the next turn, slow down in advance, because now, yes, full braking will spin the car, and I'll have to correct. And so I'm gonna go into second, have less torque to the wheels. Less torque means safer takeoff. And here's a big trick. No shame in doing this. I've got it unfortunately on a side controller. You can watch the weather come in there, but you can go to traction control, and obviously I don't need extra power, so I'll go with fuel saving. So put the power air to fuel ratio as low as you can, and traction control, TCS, traction control system, on 6 to help not spin out in the rain. So with the fuel, less fuel going through the injectors, I've got less power. And with the traction control on high, it's going to be a lot easier to control. And that means if currently you're doing wet races and finding it really frustrating, really tough, and you know, I've been in first by minute and 30 some, minute 40 seconds in first before with the Porsche 911, and ended up, well, on top of it, I had the wrong tires. But even with the wrong tires, I spun out once. So I ended up in, you know, back of the pack, and it had me not get my million credits. Ooh, you can see right there with the braking, wants to take it sideways. So you got to be careful. You got to take bends, turns at a slower speed. So now I'm full throttle, and because the traction control's on 5, I'm not taking off like a rocket, but I am going in a straight line, and that's a good thing. If it wasn't for the traction control on 5 there with how much the throttle's in, that's the little bar that goes up and down to the right of the speed and gear, I would have 100% guaranteed spun out. Dropping into 4th to help me here. So, like an older person, I'm going to watch the weather here. Spend this race watching the Weather Network off to the side. Even at this slow speed, still trying to use the whole course, get the car to the limit without spinning out. Thank goodness for that traction control. So here I don't want to full brake it while the steering wheel's turn, because we will spin out. So just very light braking to correct for my slightly over speed for the turn. Pick my line here, go from the outside to the inside, let go of the brakes once the steering wheel's turned, or have them ever so slightly in. Little slide drifting there. Downshift to help get back under control. And here we go. So I can see I'm 37 seconds ahead. So if I see that go down, I'm driving a little too slow. If I see it go up, I'm playing with, I'm not with fire, I'm playing with water, I guess. Looks like more rain is on the way. Start off in second. Now, if I didn't have the traction control, I would have been really light on the throttle, maybe started off in third. .41 seconds ahead. So easy win, even when you don't downgrade GT1 or GR1. Oh, downshift to stay in control. If I would have stayed in the higher gear, I was gonna slide off the course. I think I'm gonna be lapping because we've got a blue flag up. Yeah, blue flag. Oh, hello, Corvette. You American-made masterpiece in last place. Were you chit-chatting with your cousin? Okay, mate, time to, time to brake too hard in a corner, cause an accident. Very light on the throttle here. Now all the way in. Light on the brakes, the steering wheel's turned. Now let's turn it up. Crank it up, pedal to the metal. Now I've got a lot of tire left, and these are intermediates, So my piece of advice, my tip is make sure the rain has really stopped and that the track is dry enough. So I feel like I'm going to be a little slower keeping these tires on, but I'm going to give the track time to dry up. And then I'm going to really give it, because if I can get down to 15 minutes with these tires, that's probably pushing it and expecting too much. But the last 15 minutes would have a set of soft last to the end, because I'd like to get it by with one last pit stop, meaning now as the track dries up, and I do have tires for a wet track, not a soaked track, but a wet track. So we're gonna go back to the air fuel rate mixture, and we're gonna push a lot more. We're gonna pump a lot more fuel through those injectors. So the Toyota MR2 just got coil on plug injectors, and so far it's good. It's less. It's going to be less maintenance. We're not going to be doing every once a year oil change, doing spark plugs, distributor cap, and wires every oil change or two. So every 1 year or two. Much more reliable, long-lasting system. Oh, there. I finally used the whole track there. I guess the track had to be wet for me to really drive to the potential. Oops. So I'm in first by 41 seconds. I'm not worried about anyone coming up from behind, so I'll just have the track on here, follow along, see where we're at on the course if you don't have it memorized. So now as the track dries, we're really going to want another tip. I promised you at least 5. You're probably giving out about 12 to 14 here if you watch both part 1 and part 2. This is part 2 of the endurance race. So I'm going to stick to the little dry section here that the headlights are helping us find. Sometimes it disappears. But when it's there, I'm going to give her. I'm going to drive more like I normally would. Now here, this section of the track is often wet if you don't stay very wet, if you don't stay right in the track I just took. It's kind of like being in a boat and not wanting to bottom out in shallow water, so you really got to stick to the channel. Well, we got to stick to the dry channel here. If we get out and we're on the gas, we'll spin out. So as the track dries up, we're going to turn traction control off or down to 2. We're in the Ferrari, so we'll keep it at 2. If I was in the NSX, which is so stable, or the McLaren, we could completely turn it off and gain some speed advantage there. Ooh. That worked because it's dry in the channel. So we didn't slide across, but had it been wet, we would have slid across. That was too fast for wet. So I want to ideally switch tires when the tires are due and the fuel is needed to get by with one last pit stop. Brake at the 100 sign and then turn in. Very important turns coming up for the overall lap time. Inside, let go of the throttle. Oh, it's just a little bit too much. And we got damage. Oh, we've taken damage. Tried to push a little too hard. The track is still wet, and I forgot, important tip. Hey, I'm not a pro. I'm an intermediate driver, I'd say now. Really good beginner or intermediate driver. And that means I'm going to make mistakes that you won't see the pros make. And probably mistakes that you'll make unless you are a pro. Please leave comments if you are to help the community learn and grow together. But that was a mistake on my part, so you'll see me make all the mistakes and cover all the mistakes. So, and you hear it. I bet you hear that. As soon as we hit the curb, it's very, very wet. So like I was saying, outside the channel, wet, but those candy canes, the curbs, extremely wet. They're the last thing to dry out. So Got to really keep that in mind. So I was trying to drive over them to get, like, you know, that perfect line. I was hunting the perfect line. I was being an apex hunter, I guess. Speed hunter. And I tried to be a hero, and now I'm just a zero. Again, I gotta be... You can tell there's water on these curves. I almost want to go against my natural intuition to drive on them. My habits is to hunt out... Yeah, it's every time. It's wet. Again, there's the proof. So you really want to stay in the dry channel, and one of the only times I'll ever say maybe can really consider avoiding the curbs. Ooh, get the back straight. Bit of back pain. A lot of back pain, actually. Woo! Haha! Feels good when you get the car back under control. And the Ferrari is not the easiest to get back under control. Even the easiest I find getting back under control is the NSX or the McLaren. So one more lap. Let's let the sun come out. And then, oh, and the back left tire is due. That's why I moved up the screen from the last part one of this video. I want to be able to, this track often has yet another tip here. Maybe it's my driving skill, but I'm sure I'm not the only one here. Your back left tire will wear out faster, and I got to be careful on this lap because I'm at risk of blowing out that back tire. So I'm going to run a little slower. I'm 45 seconds ahead. I'm not going to push the car quite as much, and I did spin out though, and from the spin it would have been that back left tire that took the most wear, and we can see it. That is gonna, wow, it is gonna have an issue. It's probably gonna blow out, and we're gonna limp back into the pits. So before again, wet curbs. Oh, not very little damage there against the wall. That's good. A 45-second lead is going to turn into not a lead. The tires didn't last out the drying of the track, meaning when I go to race mediums, race softs, if I was at 15 minutes, race mediums with, by the time I pit, 21 minutes left. Corvette that I lapped is now behind us. So let's hope he doesn't bump us. Is he a speed hunter or is he a predator? No, he's going to play really clean. There's no point in him being rough. Oh, you can see how wet it is out there. It's a lake. Yeah, that back left tire is causing problems. We're going to be limping back to the pits. And it's going to be a race to the finish because I'm going to come out the pits 20 seconds behind, maybe 35 seconds behind. So keep that in mind when you try to stretch tires out. I really got to limp back. I've got essentially no rear tire. Relying on what remains of the other 3 tires. So this is how you spoil an easy win in an endurance race. You let your tires get used too much. You'd think, as a beginner, you'd think, oh, well, as long as there's still some white on those tire bars, you're fine. And that's not the case. I find you notice them behaving differently when they're half used, and when there's a quarter left of them, they're not behaving how you expect them to behave. Had I not spun out, the tire would have maybe lasted, and my goal to stretch them out to then throw on racing mediums or racing softs would have been pretty good. Limping back to the pits. There we go, let's go. Pit here. Let me know in the comments, should we be putting racing medium or racing soft? Racing medium it is. Better to play it safe and not have to pit again. And we're back. Yes, welcome to the live chat. I need the pit stop too. Oh, penalty there. Almost. We'll see. I did go over the line, so. So the track's not quite dry yet, and we are running on racing mediums. So I'm still going to keep the traction control on 5. I don't want to spin out. We're now behind, what, 11 seconds? Still have the air fuel mixture to 6. I want to make sure this tank lasts, and I'm sure it will, but I'm not going to make the swap while driving because it's on my other controller. I have to basically take my eyes off the road, and I often have issues with that. Just a reminder not to take your eyes off the road, to play with your phone, or, in this case, the controller beside me. I also have the phone there to see the live chat. Oh, the pavement, the asphalt's getting nice. Oh, yes, he was. Now on a yellow flag, I'm not gonna, there's no passing, but he's off the track, so. Can't wait for him. 43 seconds behind, wow. We've got our work cut out for us in part 2 of the Spa Endurance race at Francorchamp in Gran Turismo 7. We're racing the Ferrari at 458 Italia. The best looking, best sounding car in the game. Let me know what you think in the comments here. You want to be in 5th? If you're in 6th, you'll slide right out, folks. So we're covering all the tips and tricks. Not all of them, but at least 5. Probably more like 15. Everyone needing fuel there. Actually, I think I kicked it up to full fuel right before I blew out the last tire. Let's check that out. Yeah. So, let's make sure we don't run out. We're in 2nd. We're not that far behind. 6 seconds behind. Make sure we don't run out of fuel here. Put the fuel ratio to 6. Passing 1. First place right now. We're in 1st. Back on top. How are the poodles doing back there? Not sure if you just saw Lily walk by or not, but the poodles let me know when it's time to go to bed. They come up to the chair. They like watching. They're on the back couch right now. Their choice. They didn't stay upstairs with mum. Not my mom, their mom. Let's go, yes! Back to one of my favorite track to drive when it's not wet. Oh, don't want to go anywhere near that lake. So tip and trick. After the rain, it's going to take a long time for those sides to dry out. So I'm still not crazy about the idea of running over the curbs, the candy canes. I'll get closer and closer to them, but I want to give them time to dry out, and I definitely don't want to go out at all. Yeah, they sound wet, and they feel wet right there. Woo-wee. Let's give it some. Let's get her done. A little back road country driving. I'm in 5th, take the corner in 5th. Oh, I'm sorry. Woo! Look at the plastic bumpers exploding into the sky. I'm sorry, my friend, you drive just too slow. There's a reason why you're getting passed right now. It's because you're not that fast. Bye-bye. Can you name what we just passed, the car we just passed, in the comments? How well do you know your car is on a quick glimpse? So we still have a bit of a dry patch. You see this is all safe area, dry, off to the right. Part of that was wet, off to the left now. Wet, cars are still trailing water. You can see how wet the curbs are, so I really want to avoid those curbs. So I'm driving accordingly, making sure I stay in the dry section of the track. Might get all wet if it continues to rain. Swallow that ice cube. I'm sure you don't want to hear me crunch down on it. There, staying on the dry path. Quick braking, then in, and back on the accelerator. It's all about how fast you are on the in a lap is all about how you brake into the apex. So you slowly let go of the brake, and when you hit the apex, you're finally completely off the brake, and then you slowly throttle back in. And obviously, driving with traction control on 5 overall, I don't have the ability to be as fast as I possibly could be. But when the track's wet and the sides, the curbs are still soaked, there's no shame in it. I love this section. Hard to learn, but once you nail it, it feels so good. Haha! Feels great. Pedal to the metal. You just, no braking, just let go of the throttle for a bit. Here, obviously, lots of braking, little gas, turn, and then slowly get into the throttle. $12 minutes, three-quarter tank. Only 1/4 missing, so 75%. For those of you that don't like the whole fractions, 75% of the tank left. 11 minutes. So in no way did I take that corner properly if the track were dry, but I'm still playing it safe. Next lap, we'll drop down the control stability, the TCS, traction control stability system. Yeah, we can start getting some faster laps in now for sure. Quick little braking and in. And get back on the accelerator as soon as possible, depending on the driving line you took. You definitely want to start going over the apexes now. They're not too wet. At the 50, you can get into braking if we use also engine braking. That's when you downshift below, downshift lower to help slow down the vehicle. So that section, I now know how to be quicker through it, and I'll show you on the next time around on this coming up lap. Not sure the fuel's gonna last to the end of the race. It's gonna be close. So use the whole track there, let off the throttle for as short a period of time as possible. And there, just did it too quickly. Needed to brake earlier. Get into the throttle slowly, once I'm straight, fully in. Full braking while I'm in a straight line, starting at the 100 marker with engine braking. Turn in, slowly get into the throttle. I was a little too hard on the throttle, that's why I started to spin. Here we go, another lap. Over here, let go of the accelerator, back on it for the top of the hill, and I did go out of bounds there, but it's not a time trial, so that's 0.5, not ideal, but all part of the learning process. Make mistakes, learn, and try again. At the 100, braking with some engine braking, over the candy canes, slowly into the throttle. Tires will last the last 8 minutes. Fuel will last the last 8 minutes, so we're good. See from the water coming off the back of the car, it's a good indicator. Someone else goes out, learn and know what the conditions are for in regards to wetness on the outside of the track. So we're gonna lap here, number 14. So, oh, you didn't need to hit me. Yeah, outside's still a little wet, still a little wonky. So, taking this section correctly, I said I'd do it, but the sides are still too wet. Lost my speed. But we'll do these last turns correctly this time. From the outside to the inside, full pedal down because my speed, didn't have to let go because my speed wasn't as high as it should be. Engine braking here. Go over just a little bit. So really have to get over to my controller on the side here. I want to turn the traction control down. Still avoiding the bands because I fear they're still wet. There we go, traction control down to 2. Gain a little more speed because I can spin tire coming out of the corners, meaning I can also accelerate out of the corners. If it's on 5, no tire spin, no acceleration when the steering wheel's turned. So now partial throttle will make a nice difference coming out of corners. Quick braking here. Oh yeah, back tires of the 458 Italia do not like the candy canes, the curbs, especially when they're wet. So from the outside to the inside and then back from the outside is how you want to take those. And you want to do it without adding throttle when you're on the coming on and off those the outsides. You don't want to give too much gas, and if they're wet, well then good luck no matter what. the outside, cut the inside, and off we go to the races. Now, I want us to take these turns just right. So you can go up on the bands. You just can't go out of the band, so no time penalty there. The line was the correct one chosen. And that makes it on this straightaway. You're going at a much higher speed. You get up to 176 miles per hour. And you can see the timer right there. We did that section 0.8 seconds faster than our fastest time through that section. And the pavement isn't dry yet. And we're on racing mediums. QB, thank you for the question. I'm using a Thrustmaster GT2. And I really like it. I started off with a T150. That's what's in the background. And the T150 was good. I found it didn't give me quite as much resistance as I wanted, which is great. Less resistance is great for not getting carpal tunnel pain in the wrists and finger joints. But I found the pedals a little soft. It's a great starter wheel. I love the pedals on the Thrustmaster GT2. So braking, too much braking there. Thinking more about the TGT2, I should say. Put the full name there. Thanks for the question, QB. Really appreciate it. All questions and comments. And if I don't answer, it's just because I didn't see it pop up on screen. Because right now I'm not looking on my phone. I'm not, texting and driving, because that actually is extremely dangerous. I actually got rear-ended in the 1991 Toyota MR2 JDM right-hand drive. Back in the day in like 09. Oh, trying to gain back. Oh, I used a little bit of throttle to help regain control. And I know a lot of people just say let go of the pedals and accelerator. But I find just a little bit of throttle helps give me that push in the direction I'm asking for. At the 100, getting down into first. So let's make this a quick lap. Got that corner pretty decently. Great for a beginner. Decent for an intermediate driver. I'm gonna run over the curb here, let go of the accelerator, and add back on the accelerator. There we go. Got right through it. What's going on? Losing control here. Have to make some adjustments. I don't like to drive the Ferrari 458 on zero traction control. And that's why you really got to be easy on the pedal. I'm a minute 10 ahead with a minute 15 left though, so instead of playing around with the traction control, get back to 2, I'll practice driving the Ferrari 458 Italia with no traction control. Full braking, then cut across here. A little more fuel, very light on the throttle, and now I can get the throttle buried deep. I wonder, are the curbs dry yet? Yeah, they're not spinning me out. But the throttle will, because no traction control. Basically, rule of thumb, if the steering wheel's turned, you cannot be full throttle. Be partial throttle in. Unless you're at like 5 or 10% turn on the steering, then you can still be a full throttle or full brake most of the time. Oh, barely let go of the throttle there. So that was a good driving line. Braking, using the engine braking as well. There, not bad. Damage undertaken. Beautiful vehicle even when it's banged up. I actually have an acquaintance or a friend friend acquaintance, more a good friend of a good friend of mine who has this vehicle, and I missed test driving it. We were going to swap keys. My GT Shelby 350 is going to go test out. I was going to go test out his 458 Italia because he's let me test drive his R10 when he had R8, Audi R8. I got to test drive with him in the vehicle. I didn't get to test drive this because I was showing Ford Mustang Mach-E, an electric Mustang, which the person then decided there wasn't enough range for them to feel comfortable, and they didn't buy an electric vehicle, so missed out driving one of the greatest vehicles of all time. Okay, so let's see here. Naughty 92, hello. Yes, we're on the final lap. Thank you very much. Very nice of you to say it was a nice race. Okay, so QB, you're playing with the controller. Hopefully when my son gets older, it'll be a gift for him. I love it. Right on, man. Right on, brother. So QB, yes, with the controller, I think it's a great place to start. It can be very good. One of the things you can do less of, though, you'll want to have your throttle up on the trigger. So I can't get the controller here, but on the trigger, you want to have it so you can modulate how much power you're putting to the trigger. The only downside is if you use, let's say, X button as your brake, you can't modulate. It's either all brake or no brake, and that's where I started off doing these, racing, was always with the controller, and that's why it took me a while. My big tip and trick is racing isn't about full throttle then full braking, and you kind of full brake before the corner, go through the corner with zero brake, and then when you've gotten through the corner and your front wheels are straight again, then you can full throttle in. That's because I originally started playing these games ages ago where there were no buttons that you could have, 10% of use of the button like you can the triggers. The top R1, R2? L2, R2, you can be full in, full out, halfway, quarter. So if you can set up your gas and brake on those controllers, well then, yeah, you're going to be doing brake trailing. It is harder on a controller. So true, Naughty 92. So if you can set them up to L2, R2, it's still really hard. It's a lot harder than the pedals, and I bet you'll be a lot better driver once you get your setup. Now these setups do take space, so it would take months of practice. Absolutely true. So let me know in the comment section, do we cut this chat, this live, do we do a pit stop and then do one more race? Because I'm thinking that's a full race. So what I'd like to do, if you're all in accordance with it, I'll take my own pit stop. Had the toilet timer here the other day, but the wife said that's not too appropriate. Take that off. So I'd say maybe a 5-minute pit stop, and we'll start this race up again. But instead of the Ferrari, I'm going to pick the car, the GT3 car though, please, because we've already done taking a GR1, or really GT1 in the real world. We've taken a GT1, GR1 car and 962 Porsche C, and we downgraded it off to work. Now I just want to see the end of this race. Oh, it's very kind, sir. But anyone who wants to vote what car we're going to take next, let me know, and if not, well then I'll pick it. Good luck, QB, with your son getting that steering wheel. I really appreciate you guys coming in and dropping comments. Very, very kind. So until next time, I wish you all more cars and more power, and I hope you have a good time at work. And I do hope you get to put the pedal to the metal on a vehicle that you love sometime real soon, either in the real world or in the game here. We've got the sister channel, Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. And on that channel, we have 2 Porsche 911s trying to answer the question of, can you have an old classic vehicle? And with that old classic vehicle, actually have it not ruin your marriage because of, expenses that can cause fights in a couple. So that's the real question for those 2 classics in 1999 with the single row IMS bearing, so very little chance it goes and blows the engine. And then the 2000 Porsche 911, the black one, well, it has the dual row IMS, and Porsche, being not so kind and generous, never did a recall on it, and it's suspected that a little over 10% of the engines blow because of that IMS engine going, and it's a $25,000 repair. So with that, we also have the Toyota MR2 1991 JDM right-hand drive that we put a new engine into this year. All in all, that vehicle must have about $25,000 of parts on it, including the body kit and whatnot. We have the 2024 Ford F-150 Tremor, as well as the Shelby GT350. So if you want to catch videos of, let's say, a real GT350, and don't believe me that it sounds almost as nice, it's different, a different sound from the Ferrari 458 Italia, but we got real videos showing that to you. And if my friend acquaintance, if we can do our little swap of car, well, if he lets me, I'll set up the camera and take you on a ride of the 458 Italia in the real world over on Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. Now, we're at JCCR Adventures right now, so if you can like and subscribe, that would be really, really appreciated. We're a small family business trying to get this to generate a little bit of income to help pay for, 5 vehicles for the sister channel. Thank you so much for watching. I love having the live comments here. Good luck at work at Naughty 92, and I will see you guys real soon.